Yo, Kaspa family, what is good? What's up? What's good in the hood? We're back at it, and you see Kaspa consolidating, very healthy, very good, nothing to worry about, chilling out. Kaspa meme coins now. We're gonna go into some projections I have for Nacho and Kango. Definitely interesting breakouts for both of them. Nacho, see, let's take it over to CMC for a sec. You know, Kaspa doing work as we see, as we know. Nacho, Kango. So comparing the market caps, the price of these two, they work pretty similarly. Um, you know, they're the two leaders in the space. Okay, so I have nothing against all the top coins, all the top meme coins. They're all doing great work. Kaspy got some nice recognition recently. I think like Crypto Archie or something like that. You know, he's been promoting Kaspy. That's great. You know, Casper's an OG. Ghoad has been doing some awesome work. You know, they had the pre-sale and all that. It was a little bit suspicious, at the start, but they've the team's shown that they're grinding and all these projects. You know, Cairo, they have some OGs from Kango and other projects. Like a lot of projects are grinding. Even Mantis, you know, they're thinking about their first exchange. They're wondering if they should wait for a Dex. So you got projects and you have the top ones. I'm in the top ones. I fully believe Nacho and Kango are gonna continue to compete like that healthy rivalry to the top of not just Kaspa, but like all of the entire crypto market for the whole meme industry. They're setting like a standard for what meme coins should be fair launched. Massive communities both have their own, their own benefits, their own marketing point. You know, Nacho has some incredible utility and partnerships with like Catpool, for example. Moonbound with their NFTs going to be able to generate passive revenue from like certain platforms, like a Pump.Fun for Kaspa, and that's called Moonbound. Zealous Swap, they're going to have be able to earn some like I guess some airdrops from that or something. Kango with the marketing, it's just unbelievable. It's just like the perfect little meme. You know, it's so unique. It's the first such high quality pixel animations in the whole meme coin industry. First of its kind as well. You know, Nacho's the first thing on Kaspa, first fair launch. Kango also the first pixelated meme in the industry. Animations, like the pixel animations, it's an incredible selling point. You see the normal like hand drawn type stuff. So this is a trendsetter. Nacho the cat, most fairly distributed meme coin, another trendsetter. So they're gonna both do superb. That's why I focus on them. But I had a comment in my last video. Yo, I know, yeah, I got my Nacho, got my Kango, but I want some coverage on other coins, on other memes. Definitely will be getting that coverage. I don't know as much. I don't follow them as much, but I'll be happy to do some more coverage on that type of stuff. You know, with Kaspa, it's consolidating, and while it consolidates, it's normal to see some growth, some movement coming from Kaspa to its meme coins. Like right now, we see some nice growth with Kango, for example. Uh, Nacho was seeing some. It seems like Nacho might be more tied to Kaspa's movement than Kango is. Kango's more like, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. Gonna see how things play out, but in the end, like you compare Nacho and Kango with their price in the past month, it's like Kango was maybe Kango's like a little more volatile. It went up, it went down, now it's back up. Nacho was down for a while, then it kind of had like an explosive little growth. Um, in the 7 day, they both are literally at the same point, the same percent gain in the past week. In the past month, Kango's up a little more. That's the thing too. It's like the farther down you go, most during like this bull cycle, they're most likely going to see larger gains. We'll see how they could sustain those gains, but that's the thing. The farther down you go, you're kind of, I don't know if you want to say like risking it more. The communities aren't going to be as big. Maybe they're not going to have as strong of a team, behind it. Um, but yeah, stick to the top. My horses that I've chosen are Nacho and Kango, and I do like Kaspy, but honestly, I think Kango just like is another level above Kaspy. Um, but the story behind Kaspy is just incredible. Especially the OGs used to be just like Kasper and Nacho as like the OGs with but then Nacho, just like the community was much bigger, the way they launched, so there's a whole history. I can go through a lot of things with it, but that's where we're at. And let's look back at TradingView. So this is like a projection I see in the next about 3 months. Think about it like around end of August, toward the end of the summer. I think these meme coins, especially on Kaspa, are going to see explosive growth, and that's going to be aligned with the chart. Is pointing to the possibility of aligning with the release of smart contracts on Kaspa, like a DEX. A DEX is going to really power these meme coins. It's going to really power Kaspa as well, because you're going to have a liquidity like staying in Kaspa. It's not going to be sold for USDT. You're not going to have this selling pressure in order to get Kaspa to meme coins. Right now, you could be using a decentralized marketplace, but these decentralized marketplaces like Kaspa.com and KSPR Telegram, they're much harder, and they don't have that liquidity that traders need. They're a marketplace. You have to buy and you have to wait for a seller, or if you're trying, or no, if you're a seller, you have to wait for a buyer. So it has kind of like one-sided liquidity, I guess. So with a DEX, you're going to have that full range liquidity for buys and sells. And that's going to be able to take a lot of the trading dominance. So honestly, if Kaspa doesn't get listed on tier ones, we're going to really see DEXs taking a lot of the trading dominance. And that's hopefully, how it ends up, where, the reliance is more on the DeFi. And if newcomers, after the DEXs launch, then we can see hopefully those tier ones list, and that gets the exposure to the normies, but it's going to still be centered around DeFi, around DEXs, the trading dominance on the DEXs. That's the best case scenario. But that's going to all line up around the end of the summer. And look at this, around June, August. This is going to be a range where we could very likely see a retest of all-time highs. Retest that, may consolidate for a while, and then that could be form the new support for the next major price actions. For the full breakout. Of course, it's going to align with Kaspa as well. Like seeing Kaspa having the chance to retest all-time highs toward the end of the summer, I think is a very reasonable estimate. It may need to be longer. It may need to go to the end of the year. But by then, it's especially going into 2026. It's like, Kaspa and the whole meme coin and the crypto market is going to be very, very well positioned. Let's just take a quick look at Solana right now. Again, it's consolidating at its mid Bollinger. That's the mid-weekly moving average. And with a very strong support on the macro indicator with its MACD, this is very healthy. It's literally very well priced. And we take a look at Bitcoin. It's really interesting because you think it's like, oh, it's retesting all-time high. It's forming a double top. But in reality, look at this macro indicator and even compare it to hard money. What's its value in terms of gold? And it is really actually starting to break out, and it is not at all-time high. It's about at a little below its fair, a little below even. It's not. It's basically hitting around the average on its weekly moving average again, but you see it in terms of gold, and you get a better, more fuller perspective, because gold has a lot of liquidity right now. Same with fiat. The global M2 has a lot of liquidity that's going to be coming into Bitcoin, and of course across the crypto market. So that's something you really have to keep in mind. And I was saying, like last week, this could be a double top forming for gold on like the daily. It was a bit speculative, but it showed a chance. And then like a few days after that, it was showing weakness on its macro weekly indicator, and boom, it seems like it's going to keep trying to go down a little more and more and more, and it looks like it can very well consolidate for the next year in this range. And when we saw the consolidation for an entire year, that's a boom for crypto. This is going to be powering the crypto market with that sort of liquidity. So definitely looking good. The outlook's looking incredible for crypto, especially in this type of market scenario, global markets. And with inflation, it's tough to say, especially right now. We may need to wait like another month, Looks like quantitative easing is happening. We may need to wait another month to let that, like, the tariffs, to really start kicking in, like the data from the tariffs, and just to see how the market goes. It needs a little bit more time, but it's looking good. And if inflation does stay down, it's going to be very good for all the markets, not just crypto. Crypto still does well when inflation is high and when uncertainty is high, but it is all types of markets do superb when inflation is low, and that's what we love to see. Everything's looking great. Keep doing keep buying, holding, and staying true to your conviction, because everything takes time, and don't worry about it. The macro uptrend is there, and it is what it is. We're gonna need some time, and developments are underway. Casplex was giving out some really great alpha on its L2. I was DMing one of the, I don't know, the developers of Casplex, and he was sharing some info, some really interesting things with Casplex. It looks like they're not going to have their own token, while Eager Labs is going to have their token. Eager Labs is taking the more company VC route to use their token as a means to incentivize node operators. You need those node operators to really be like decentralized. We'll see what we'll see what Casplex does for their L2, if they're going to incentivize node operators, and it looks like they will, judging by a conversation I had with one of the developers for Casplex. It seems like they may use a wrapped version of Kaspa to incentivize node operators. So it's going to be very interesting. I still have a lot more I need to understand of these L2s, especially why there needs to be a wrapped version of Kaspa and why I can't just be using Kaspa itself, and how the EVM really works, especially with Eager Labs, like requiring, they're going to be running the EVM, they're going to be having the final settlement layer on Ethereum, but doesn't that like take the point away where we're trying to have everything settle through Kaspa? So, that I think that's just like the result of having EVM compatibility. We're gonna want to see, full Kaspa compatibility. I think that's closer to what it needs, like opcodes to bring in the ZK zero knowledge proofs. It needs what else is it? Like that one layer 1.5, basically what Sparkle has been trying to build, and they're still like under the radar. They're still heads down building. Haven't had updates on Sparkle, but that's basically the end game I'm looking for Kaspa's layer 2 environment. While this, in the short term, we're going to be having Eager Labs, Casplex, and it gets the job done. It's not, I think especially without the ZK zero knowledge proofs, it's not going to be like the final solution that we need, but it gets the job done, and that's the main thing. Start the adoption, start the development for the whole ecosystem, and then gets the ball rolling. So yeah, on that note, peace.